7:08. I will call the meeting of the Select Board of December 17, 2024 to order. Note this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne TV. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge it at this time. Jamie? Yes, Jamie on Zoom. Use of flash photography during Select Board meetings is prohibited. If anyone from the public wishes to access the meeting, they can do so by calling the conference line 1-929-205-6099. The Zoom meeting ID is 869-5775-5505. The password is Bourne, all uppercase BOURNE. The Zoom chat will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise the hand icon until the chair asks them to unmute. All items within the meeting agenda are subject to deliberation and votes. First item is a moment of silence to recognize our troops and public safety personnel. And pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Report out on executive session. The Select Board had a couple items in an executive session. We have discussed a complaint that was filed against the town administrator. Due to the fact that it is a personnel matter, it will remain confidential. And in the second item of the executive session, contract negotiations with non-union personnel, town administrator, the Select Board came to agreement on terms with the town administrator for a renewal contract, and we will be voting the contract formally in a future open session. Community shout out and recognition. I'm going to read a shout out and recognition for the Otis Civilian Advisory Council, with over 150 members from Bourne and Joint Base Cape Cod surrounding towns, has over 75 years been focused on supporting Joint Base Cape Cod active military families. This week, OCAC members delivered over 1,500 in holiday gift cards for distribution to each branch of service on the base. They are also the keepers of the Otis Memorial Park, run events throughout the year for JBCC family morale, respond to special funding needs, and host the annual military awards event. They also have a scholarship program, and April 1st is the due date for high school seniors who are dependents of active or reserve Cape Cod and Islands military forces, including U.S. Air Force, Air National Guard, U.S. Army, Army National Guard, Space Force, or Coast Guard, to apply for one of 4 $1,500 scholarships. For more information on joining or supporting the great stuff this organization does for JBCC families, you can visit ocacjbcc.org. So thank you very much for what they do for Joint Base Cape Cod families. Anybody else?
Sure. Last Wednesday evening, the Recreation Department, as well as the Recreation Committee, had a holiday event, which was very, very well attended. Katie, who's our director, and her assistant, as well as various members of the Recreation Committee, really did an outstanding job of pulling this off. I mean, I saw a lot of happy kids and a lot of happy parents. So, I mean, thank the Ann and Mr. and Mrs. Stastos for playing Santa and Mrs. Claus. Again, no, it was very tastefully done, and a lot of families were happy when they attended. So, and it was nice to see it firsthand. So, thank you, Katie, and her assistant for doing and with the rec committee for doing a great job, as always.
Thank you. Okay, public comment on non-agenda items. Is there anyone signed up for public comment? Okay, all right, I'm gonna give my spiel then. Public comments are allowed for up to a total of 12 minutes at the beginning of each meeting. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes for comment. Board members are unable to respond due to posting requirements of the open meeting law. So who signed up?
There's no sign up.
Okay. Please introduce yourself.
Sandy
Sandy.
Goldstein, Katomet. I just have a couple of comments. I wasn't able to attend the selectmen's meeting where the Department of Transportation, I guess it was a week or so ago, where they did a presentation on what's going to take place on MacArthur Boulevard. I did go to the one where they had it at Mass Maritime Academy, and I asked that question, what is going to happen to MacArthur Boulevard? And I guess either they weren't prepared to answer, or it wasn't time, but anyway, I didn't get an answer there. But I read in the newspaper that they were here a week ago, or two, and I wasn't able to attend that meeting. I would have liked to have seen what was going to happen there. I just would like to, I read it, and I got an idea of some of the things they said they're going to have to do, and, but I would like to, if it's possible, to put a map or some kind of a really good diagram in the paper so people can understand, myself included, can understand where they really, what's going to happen, Service Road and all that sort of thing, and Cumberland Farms, where they're still going to get that in there. Anyway, I'd like to see how that has to be, how that road has to be designed so they can do all that. We all have, if that's a public thing, we all have something to say or an idea. So that was my first comment, 2 parts here. The second part has to do with the rail trail meeting that took place at the Pocasset Village. I did go. I wasn't able to get in. I did go in, and I plastered myself against the door, and that was the only place I could stand. I didn't even go to the side of the walls. I stayed for 10 minutes, and I left. I did hear some of the things some of the findings they have, the difficulties of doing this project. I did read Mr. Clegg's comments in the paper a day or so later, and that's what I'm taking a little issue with his comment about historically speaking. I think I said that somewhere. It really set off a few people, I guess. Historically speaking, I think Bourne is not at the bottom rung of the ladder, as it was put, and that the Joint Base Cape Cod is cutting the town. That ruined everything. It cut the town to pieces, so we can't do these, rail trail, these kind of projects, and it's too bad, blah, blah, blah. I don't think the base is responsible for any of that. I think we have a lot of assets in town that maybe we could look at a little bit more, that have been kind of negativized and given a short shrift. And I'm thinking in terms of the Mass Maritime Academy. I think that's an asset, and I think we need to support that and encourage a little more cooperation with them. I think we thwart them every which way they go, and I think college towns are very appealing to a lot of people. They're very stable and very interesting, and I think we could attract maybe some of the businesses that are trying to open in Buzzards Bay. People buy property and they want mixed use. Well, the mix is housing
Sandy, you're
and what else?
exceeding your 3 minutes, so if
What?
you could,
Getting
you're
near it?
exceeding your 3 minutes, you need to kind of wrap up.
I think we, let me see here, I lost my train of thought. I know, I think that 3 minutes is a little bit brief, and I'm using that time. I think you ought to have some more discussions or little meetings or debates or whatever. I really lost my train of thought here.
You were talking about mixed
Mass
retail
Maritime.
in Buzzards Bay.
What?
You were talking about mixed use
Oh, right.
in Buzzards Bay.
I think Mass Maritime Academy is underestimated as an asset to the town. We have that, and it's a bonus. No other town has that. And that when you have mixed use, you need to attract something to your business, something besides gas stations, convenience stores, and storage container units. I think the town could, it's a new day, new bridges, a new time. What's the next 80 years going to be like? How are we going to develop? And maybe we should have a plan and think about that, including the idea that Bourne was really West Sandwich, and it was cut off. And it never, you need to go back to that day and realize Bourne, kind of an orphan. It never, how did it develop, and would we do the same things in the next 50 years that we just, 80 years, I mean, that we just did? What we're focusing on is housing and wastewater. All of those things are problems we incurred by the way we developed the first 80 years. Overdid it. I think we overdid it, and I'm sure a lot of other people do. And where do we go for the next 80 years?
All right, thank you very much, Sandy.
You're welcome.
That's
Thank
a
you.
nice ending. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else for public comment? All right. If it's okay with the board, I'm going to move on number 9, ISWIM Building Committee, up to next.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just want to speak on that, as Ace is walking up.
Yeah, Asa, go ahead.
Okay. Earlier today, we had as your representative, we had a ISWIM Building Committee meeting where we interviewed 3 applicants, and Asa is here to present our findings from that meeting this afternoon. So,
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Asa Mintz, ISWIM Operations Manager and Building Committee Chair, ISWIM Building Committee Chair. So as Peter mentioned, back in October, we put out an RFQ for designer services for our building. On December 1st, we received 3 applicants, all of which were fully responsive. That was Weston and Sampson Engineers, Helene Carl Architects, and RGB Architects. Per the town's designer selection policy, we reviewed all 3, or we interviewed all 3 just earlier today. And as I mentioned, you know, all of the applicants were clearly qualified for the job. Ultimately, it came down to Helene Carl Architects and Weston and Sampson. Now, Weston and Sampson's done a fair amount of work in the town in prior years. I've done a lot of work with them as well. They put together a good presentation, and they've had success on multiple projects. But I think Helene Carl stood out as the leader in this group. Greg Yanchenko, am I saying this right? And I should actually also say that Neil Joyce and Scott Lubker from CMS, our owners project managers, are here as well. Helene Carl put together a very nice presentation. They've clearly done their homework on this project, offered up a really good path to control cost and control design aspects on this project, and it was pretty clearly evident that the building committee was happy with them. So ultimately, and actually I should mention too that Neil has a great relationship with Helene Carl. He's successfully completed a lot of projects with them, and ultimately, you know, given everything that's equal amongst qualifications, we kind of felt that relationship was really beneficial to the town. So we selected Helene Carl Architects as our number 1 choice. Weston and Sampson would be our number 2 choice, and RGB Architects would be our number 3 choice. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the board? Marlene, what are you looking for from us this evening?
So from you, I would please like a vote to authorize me to enter into negotiations with Helene Carl.
Helene Carl, yes.
so move.
Second.
So motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie, to authorize the town administrator to enter negotiations with Helene Carl as the architect for the ISWIM building. Is there any further discussion?
I think from the interviews that we had today that you will not be disappointed with our choice, our recommendation, that they really did their homework. It really stood out over the other 2 applicants. You know, not that they weren't qualified, but they really did their homework when they came today to make their presentation. So I think you'll be very happy with them.
Marlene, I have a question for entering into negotiations. Does that also authorize you to sign a contract with them upon a successful
Yes.
negotiation?
Yes, yes. Yes. Enter and complete.
And thank you, Aisha, for spearheading this.
Thank you for your time, and,
We have to vote still.
okay, so jump at the
All
gun.
right, we have a motion to authorize to enter negotiations and sign the contract with Helene Carl upon successful negotiations.
All those in
All's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Good
it.
work. Moving right along.
Trying to keep that pace up.
All right, thank you. Now we'll go back to item 7. Consent agenda. A, vote to open the warrant for the May 5th annual town meeting warrant on Monday, December 23rd, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. and close it on Friday, March 14th, 2025 at 4 p.m. B, vote to open the warrant for May 5th, 2025 special town meeting warrant on Monday, December 23rd, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. and close it on Friday, March 28th, 2025 at 4 p.m. C, appoint Christine Schock to the Bourne Cultural Council with a term ending date of June 30th, 2027. D, $100 in memoriam donation to the, accept a $100 in memoriam donation to the fire department. E, accept $46 in various donations to the library. And F, approve annual licensing renewals attached.
Point of order on letter B.
Okay?
Shouldn't it say December 23rd, 2024?
4, yes.
Sorry.
Any further discussion? Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
As amended?
As amended.
With
Second.
motion by Anne Marie, second by Melissa, I think, right?
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous. Next, licensing and events. A, licensing, changing corporate name, current common vic license issued to Carrie and Rob Inc., DBA, Mr. G's Pizza, 411 Meeting House Lane, Sagamore Beach, changed to Sagamore Beach Pizza, Inc. And so I was a little bit confused by the email that came from the proponent, because I have changed the name of Mr. G's Pizza as well as Carrie and Rob Inc. for 2 reasons. Mr. G's was named after Sahin Gulson, former owner. So this is a change to Sagamore Beach Inc., which will change the name of Mr. G's to Sagamore Beach Inc.
No, we have, it's only the change in corporation. We did get confirmation from, that it's only the change in the corporate name.
And he's gonna leave the name as Mr. G's.
As far as
It
what
was
we
very
know.
confusing. 'cause-
It is very confusing. Yes.
Okay,
So the building will say Mr. G's Pizza.
But it's the corporate
The
name.
corporation, the corporate name will
The
be.
articles of organization, which is in your.
Yeah.
Yep, it's on the packet.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Doing
So-
business as.
so this is, so we are approving change to Sagamore Beach Pizza Inc., DBA Mr. G's Pizza.
That's correct.
Motion to approve the proposed amendment to change the corporate name of the common vic license from Carrie and Rob Inc. to Sagamore Beach Pizza Inc.
Second, so moved, right? Second.
Oh,
Wait,
no, second. You're
second,
right the
yes.
first time.
I know, I was right the first time. It's all right. It's been a long day.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? Yes, it's unanimous. B, 8B, event, discussion and possible vote on the use of Monument Beach for the annual Monument Beach Polar Club New Year's Day Polar Plunge fundraiser on January 1st, 2025.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Diane
evening.
Woodside. I'm here from the Monument Beach Polar Club Committee, and we are here to request use of Monument Beach for our 28th annual New Year's Day Polar Plunge. We are also looking for a parking waiver for our plungers, supporters, and spectators, and the possibility of selling our old T-shirts and hats that day. All proceeds benefit the Bourne Food Pantry. Last year, we presented a check for $40,000 to the food pantry. We hope to do that again. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer those for you, and we appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
We love this event. 28 years. Yeah, I don't get in the water. but I love watching.
I only jump in every 10 years, so. So if you want to come with me in 2030, I'll be
It's a great cause. You
It
do a
really
great
is.
job with it, and I'm glad that for your efforts you give back to the community like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great effort every year.
I love that it started with a group of friends around a
Campfire.
campfire one night, and
Mm-hmm.
here we are
Yeah.
28 years later. It's nice.
Yeah.
And it's grown every year.
Yeah.
I have a question for Liz. Do they have to get that one-day
Peddlers,
peddlers thing?
a license to sell
License,
the
or can we
T-shirt?
waive that as
You
well?
can waive that as well.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve the use of Monument Beach for
The
the New
annual
Year's Day
beach.
Polar Plunge, to waive the parking permit, and to waive the one-day hawkers and peddlers.
So moved? Second.
Motion by Melissa, second by Jean. Is there any further discussion?
Just a comment. I think you have, in the future, think about, if there's a need, you may qualify for Bourne Community Engagement Committee funding.
Interesting.
So we changed some of the guidelines with respects to, from nonprofit for not-for-profit. And I know that you don't profit from this event and everything benefits
Right.
the council on aging. I'm not sure,
We'll definitely look into
but,
that between now and next year.
come to the committee, reach out at some point, and you can sit with the committee and we can have that conversation.
Thank you. That's a lovely bit of news. Do you need anything else from me?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys so
Wait,
much.
did we
Appreciate
vote?
it.
No.
We have a
Oh,
motion.
we got a
second.
vote.
Okay.
We're all ready to go on that
Any
one.
further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Moving right along. Review of
Capital
capital projects.
Here we go.
FY '26 requests proposed for the annual town meeting. As I wrote to you all, I suggested that you watch the capital outlay committee meeting from December 2nd, and then there was another one this morning in favor of the town administrator reviewing the capital projects with us. If there's any project that you have questions that you would like a department head to come in at a later time, we can certainly do that, but in the interest of time and energy for our department heads, we felt that the town administrator could review this with us, so.
So let me give you kind of the rundown on the list here. The first one is funding for an OPM and designer for a potential new library. I'm recommending $150,000.
Just before we start, for anyone that's, might be at home watching and wants to follow along with the projects, if you go to the town website, to the town meeting, there is a document that has all the capital projects listed and in great detail, so, sorry to interrupt.
Nope, that's okay. I'm recommending $150,000 from free cash for this purpose. And very briefly, the library trustees are working on a prior capital article to conduct a feasibility study. They're in that process. And the goal here is that by the time we get to the May town meeting, there will be a recommendation from the feasibility study group that can then be evolved into a building project. So, and then if there is a building project, the next step for that is OPM and designer selection.
And just to clarify, that would not be with the feasibility committee, it would be with a new building committee.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. The second project is Comaletti Court, which are the basketball courts right here behind us. And I'm recommending $400,000 from CPA funds be used for that project. The courts would be expanded considerably, is it 6 or 8?
Six.
Six hoops, completely rebuilt, and new lights. The next project is the redevelopment of the Chester Park Recreation Area. This project is currently still in feasibility as well. So just like the library, we hope to have the feasibility study complete in advance of town meeting, but right now this is a placeholder. I don't have a dollar amount yet. When we get that dollar amount, I will also be recommending CPA funding for this project. The next projects are the school department, flooring replacement to take out carpet and replace it with a resilient floor in parts of the high school. I'm recommending $55,000 from free cash. Refurbishing the elevator at the high school, $250,000 from free cash. Rebuilding the Jackson Field bleachers, which is a continuation of a design project that they have been working on. This is the construction money. I would be recommending $400,000 from borrowing for that project. Replacement of one minibus on their schedule, on their replacement schedule for $120,000 from free cash. The selection of an OPM to provide oversight for removal of the solar array that is currently on the middle school roof. I'm recommending $50,000 in free cash for that. The next project on the list is to remove and replace the roof at the police station. As the board knows, the town will be entering into litigation for that building, and we hope to recoup some of these costs. But I am asking for $2.5 million from borrowing for that purpose. The next project is the police department phone upgrade. This is for a server and for a recorder. Currently, 911 records both the calls and the radio traffic. Going forward, they will only record calls, so we need to replace that recording capacity for the radio traffic. I'm recommending $30,000 in free cash for that project. The police department has requested the replacement of 5 vehicles based on their schedule. I'm recommending moving forward with the replacement of 3 vehicles at this time for $280,000 in free cash. The police department is requesting funds to upgrade the HVAC system in the shooting range. They're currently unable to operate in the summertime. And I'm recommending $475,000 from borrowing to retrofit the range.
That's not part of litigation, all right?
That is not part of the
was
litigation.
it.
It was
Yeah.
never, it was
Part of the
never
whole thing.
built.
Part of the plan.
The next project is a new Southside Fire Station. So if we're successful in purchasing the property at 171 Clay Pond Road at the January 6th special town meeting, which will be at the middle school gym,
Middle school gym,
at the middle school gym,
January 6th.
January 6th, to purchase the land. So if that passes, then the next step is to request the construction budget, which I'm recommending $18 million as a excluded debt. So that will require a ballot authorization at the May annual ballot, or May annual election.
Borrowing. with
Borrowing.
excluded-
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, borrowing, debt exclusion.
Exclusion.
The next project is an ambulance to replace one, given the build time we need to start now to replace the next one that needs to be replaced in a couple of years. I'm recommending $475,000 from the ambulance fund.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes.
This is like a Ford F-550 base, am I thinking about the right thing, base with like the ambulance box, or is that something different?
No, I don't think so.
It's
I
international.
think it is an international. I don't have my book open.
That's what they have now, the international.
Well, that's why, because I think it said, that's what struck me, is they have internationals now, and I thought it said Ford.
Oh, they're proposing?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't remember.
Yeah, you don't have to look it up now, but I was just,
The fire chief will, when the fire chief comes to
we
talk
can
about
talk
the
about
operating
if
budget.
it is, yeah, we'll talk about whether that's a difference. I was just curious, because we've gone through different iterations of ambulances from, I forget what the old ones we used to use, and then we went to the internationals, and then we went, I was just curious if they were going to a different
I
thing.
can't remember what we
With Horton,
purchased.
they used to get Hortons, and then they went to the internationals because of the bigger bodies and stuff, so I don't know. It was just, if you knew, it would be fine.
I don't
If you
know.
It's fine, it's not a big deal.
The next request is to replace a brush breaker for the fire department. I'm recommending $450,000 in free cash.
It's a Horton, by the way.
A Horton brush breaker?
It's a Horton emergency vehicle.
Oh, is it?
Well, that's the body, that's the, I mean.
Yeah,
That's
they're
the
like,
tri-
the chassis is something and then the body is something else.
Mm-hmm.
What's the chassis say?
That's what I'm trying to pull up.
Hold on. It's a 2025 Ford F-550 4x4 diesel.
They went back. Because the last couple we did internationals.
Yeah, so we'll talk to the chief about it during budget.
Wasn't that what the conversation was about diesels?
With
I think that
aluminum
was-
eel and a Sync 3 radio.
Yeah, we'll just talk to them about why they're,
Just went back.
Surround sound.
yeah. I mean, they use the boxes are all the same, so they can set them up the same, they're all the Horton boxes, but they change the chassis, and it could be the DPW says, go back to the Fords, and it's just good to know. And I don't remember what we bought for with
I
ARPA.
can't remember what we bought for the ARPA,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the the chief will be fully prepared.
These little details
It's
just
a
jump out
rather
at me,
lengthy,
Okay, the
detailed
brush
piece
breaker.
of equipment.
The brush breaker is really interesting to me because I think what we had before was, I mean, some of our brush breakers have been like World War II
Yeah.
things that were
Yeah.
like retrofitted.
Right.
Yeah,
It was surplus.
yeah.
Oh, that's with the retrofitted Hummer with the open.
Yeah.
Off the back, yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think it's like, you know.
It was cool.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the third request for the fire department is to replace one of the command vehicles. And I'm recommending $115,000 from free cash for that.
115.
Yes, 115.
What, hold on. I'm sorry. The brush breaker? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's going under DPW?
No,
No,
Oh,
that's fire.
the brush breaker is $450,000 from free cash.
And the ambulance is also from free cash?
No.
Ambulance fund.
Oh, the ambulance fund. Okay. Where does that money come from?
Ambulances.
Ambulance
right.
fees.
The revenue from when they take you to the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. I assume that, but I'm like, is it that's what it is? Okay.
It is, and we've actually, there's two things that it's been a while now since we actually looked at the ambulance fees, but we had done it a couple years ago and upped them. But then we also did a thing where we get this extra revenue, I don't remember the name of the program that we belong to now.
Yes.
Where we get, if we get extra money for the part that's not covered by Medicare or
Yes.
whatever, so,
I can't remember the name either, but we do keep meticulous records so that we're eligible for that.
yes, yes. And it has increased our revenue.
Yeah, 'cause Tony brought that
Okay.
to us when.
Yeah.
So it is ambulance
Yep.
fund.
It is a fun to
Tell your
watch,
mother-in-law
though.
to keep calling.
Have we,
It's only for transport.
Please,
Right?
no,
It's only
only for
transport.
emergencies.
It's only for transport.
yeah.
Thank God.
Now, before we leave the ambulance, have we had any requests and waivers for ambulance billing as part of it? Because that is the revenue we use, so have you waived any?
I have. They've been very few and far between.
Okay.
It's sort of in your budget presentation, we should have that kind of look at the ambulance fund. You know, just so like where it was at the beginning of this year and like what we're spending for budget, even though it's really weird because it doesn't come off. That's the one that doesn't come off
Right,
until the July 1st, so,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really different thing, yeah.
Erica will be fully prepared.
A lot of accounts to keep track of.
Do you want to move on to sewer?
Yes.
Okay. The next request is the design for the SCADA improvements. And that is, I'm recommending $88,000 from sewer retained earnings for the design of those improvements. And then, as Matt has been talking to you as sewer commissioners, the construction money will follow.
Yeah.
The next project, the residential grinder pumps are still under discussion between the DPW director and the sewer commissioner, so that's just a placeholder for right now, and until further discussion and decisions are made. For DPW, the first request is to replace Ford F-550 dump truck. This is one of the daily trucks that are out on the road all the time. And I'm recommending $156,000 from free cash. The next project from DPW, DPW requested $600,000 for various drainage repairs around town. And this is a major priority. We have a lot of areas that need drainage. At this point, for the May town meeting, I'm recommending $400,000 for drainage repairs from free cash. And this will become, most likely, this will become a pretty regular thing that you will see, that we will request an article, spend it down, come back and request a further article. Because the list of necessary drainage improvements is long. The DPW has come forward again with the intersection project for Shore Road at Barlow's Landing Road. This was a subject of discussion at the Capital Outlay Committee. Originally, a full complete streets plan was presented with a cost of $1.69 million. That was not palatable to Capital Outlay. The department pulled the project in to the intersection without the additional sidewalk network that they were proposing. And we're looking at a project cost of $423,000 for that. We may be able to recoup some of that cost by using Complete Streets grant money. We're not sure how the scaled back project will be viewed, but it is possible that at the end of the day, that will be partially offset by grant money. Erica and I have not had a chance yet to talk about the source of that project, so I don't know yet if we're going to be recommending free cash or borrowing.
Okay.
The next project is a new trash truck, a packer. I believe it's a 33-yard side loader, and that is recommended for $439,000 from ISWIM retained earnings. It's a cost associated with the curbside collection system, which ISWIM pays for.
Some of them, not all of them. I don't think.
We're recommending ISWIM to pay for this
For
one.
all of them. Yes. I like it when Iceland pays.
Yes.
Good.
The next projects are the ISWIM projects. The first one is their building project, their construction funds. I'm recommending $25 million for debt to be taken on by the ISWIM Enterprise Fund. So not general fund debt, but ISWIM debt.
So in the process of our preparing for town meeting, looking at how that's going to work will be helpful before
Yeah.
we approve the warrant article.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next project is a roll-off for $300,000 from retained earnings. Also an excavator for $500,000 from retained earnings. And that, ISWIM is proposing to buy a larger machine than they currently have, but they can put it to good use, and they feel like it can still fit in where they need it to go. So that is a slightly bigger piece of equipment. ISWIM's fourth project is capping the current phase they have open, which I think is 9, but I could be wrong on that. I think
No, you're right. I wrote it down.
Okay, so, cap for phase 9.
The 4 caps.
Yes, section, and this is recommended at $1,850,000. And these funds are from their post-closure account, so
they're set aside.
They're set
Okay.
aside already. The engineering projects are construction oversight and administration money for phase 1 of the rail trail project. That's the portion, the town is not obligated to pay for the construction, but we do have to pay for oversight and construction administration. And I'm recommending $200,000 from CPA for that project. The second engineering project is a Red Brook Harbor Dam safety. And I apologize, I think this is I think this is a safety assessment. I think this is a study of.
High hazard report
A hazard report, thank you, thank you.
of the earthen berm.
Yes. And we are recommending $30,000 from free cash for that. The final project for May is the annual dredging of $250,000 to be set aside from the Waterways Fund for future dredging.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Emery.
Is there a little, like, liberal kind of spending that they call dredging? Because I thought the conversation also included repairs to,
It is repairs to docks and
so
there
it's
are
not
some other
necessarily,
things.
I think there's
Yeah.
some misconceptions out there that dredging, they think it's dredging. But that actually, that we're refurbishing the dredging account also means that that money's not just used specifically for dredging, but it can be used for ramp repairs and pier repair.
Yes,
and-
you are correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to
yes.
clarify.
The Waterways Fund can be used
Okay.
for those repairs as well.
And do we just, is that like a standard dollar amount that we just refurbish it in that amount and then obviously over time, the DNR decides
Yeah,
how to,
The
we try to-
projects are high, like, how much was that Bassett Island project?
it was expensive.
Yeah,
yeah.
and then they're getting way more. And we're gonna have to look at that number, because with the new numbers for the Barnstable County dredge, those numbers that cost is really going up.
It's going up, yeah.
And it may get better, but they had a big problem where they couldn't get anything permitted, and so they couldn't get any revenue, and so they have to support their program with revenue, so.
And it's a short window, you know.
Yeah. And
dredging.
and we have over the years increased it. It was,
Yes.
it was 175, then it was 200, then it brought it up to 250, so they do monitor and decide. But look, well, that's another, we should look at the Waterways Fund. How much is in it? How much do we get? What are we spending? So we keep track of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just jumping back, the rail trail for engineering, that was 250 or 200? Was the-
200,000.
200, okay, that's
Yep,
what I-
200,000 from CPA.
And that's for like oversight. Is it partially like finishing up, like what has to be done, or
It's phase one construction administration.
that's all it is?
Yeah. the
In
position.
Okay.
That's an expensive one.
Yep.
Okay, so, are you just looking for it to say go forth and continue, continue to put this on the capital
bless
plan
Humana,
for
humana.
evaluation during, for the annual town meeting?
Yeah,
And,
please let me know if there's anything that there's
concerns about?
serious concern, serious
Yeah.
disagreement about, or we should take anything off, or.
I think I think it was vetted well, the Barlow's Landing and Shore Road project was vetted well at capital outlay, and to try to change course a little bit and narrow the scope of that project was the right decision, or right recommendation.
For right now, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they said there could be future phases. It's very difficult to get agreement on what people there want, but this, getting the safety at the intersection is the main thing that people want, and they're concerned about changing their village too much, but I think this looks like a good project. I
Yeah,
like
and-
the way it looked.
Because I live on Shore Road and I work on Barlow's and I bring Jake back and forth to work, I go through there more than 3 times a day. And if it's really busy, I was interested to hear who was concerned, who wanted to keep it the way it was. And I can understand traffic building up, and honestly, sometimes in the summer, I just don't, I go around, and it is gonna cause trouble, but we need to slow people down on Shore Road, so I think that's a bigger priority at this point.
What was really interesting in the documentation that was sent today was Environmental Partners gave a really good analysis of the two-way stop, the four-way stop, the number of crashes and what's the most effective. And I think that helped really, for me anyway. I always thought it should be a four-way stop, but it solidified that,
Yeah, the
that was the way,
memorandum
that
they-
was
Yeah,
definitely the way to
yeah.
go.
I've been in a couple near misses, more than I can count, and I've had to hit my brakes pretty hard more than once, that all my stuff would come off the seats. and-
I mean, we've said this before, that left-hand turn from Barlow's Landing onto to Shore
Oh,
towards
to get-
Kingman's, it's scary, because even if it looks clear, it's such a long intersection,
Too wide, too big, and as a, my son who's blind got to go across these intersections, it's just really scary, just see.
and I love the texture sidewalk, it looks like it's gonna be really nice, so I thought it looked really gorgeous.
It's a great improvement, and it's tough to scale. I can understand being in that traffic committee too, the idea, it kept growing and growing, and it was really hard to prioritize. So I guess you ask for the most,
Peter?
and we do what we can. I think it was a great discussion.
I have no problem with what's on this list, but I have a bigger problem with what's not on this list. And what's not on this list is, and it's not even on the 5-year capital plan, is there's no lighting for Main Street, Buzzards Bay. I know that we're going forward with the replacement of, and putting lights in where the road work was done at Academy Drive this past summer. But, I mean, if you go from Mahoney's and go down towards the fire station, in the summertime, someone's gonna get killed. Especially on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday when it gets dark there. And I think as a board, we need, just for the public safety aspect, look into putting continuation of that streetlight on the 5-year capital plan for the intense purpose of getting it done, because, that's a pretty busy area of town. And we have people from the marina that walk across the street. We got people on Thursday nights with the concerts that go, afterwards. And it gets dark like around 8, a little after 8 o'clock in the summertime. And
You know what, in the wintertime, we need the lights too.
You need 'em
because
year-round.
If we're gonna try to encourage use of the downtown for
Exactly.
entertainment and activities, we have to make it friendly so that people are comfortable
Yeah.
being there and walking around. So I agree that lighting and what we can do to enhance Buzzards Bay to make it, more walkable and more friendly for
Light, bright,
for
friendly,
people
and, yeah.
to be in, is important.
yeah, because Buzzards Bay Park, the front entrance on the Main Street side, when you walk in that first 20 feet before you get to the big oval, there's no light there, so it's dark in that little section. And I can remember being on that committee that helped design and implement, the Buzzards Bay Park. We had extra money, and we bought. Tom Garino was the minister, and we bought the extra light, and it was in storage up at DPW in one of the Connex boxes, and no one can find it. All these, because we figured out where they could connect it, without digging up much of the lawn to run new wire. And so I know that light's was supposedly bought with what was excess funds, and I'm just saying, from a safety perspective, we should be looking at that, coming up for next summer, because, I mean, I am one of those walkers that go through the park, and but it gets a lot of use, and it's just that one little section that gets dark, and it's to me, it's potentially someone can get mugged in that area where there's no light. Because it does get dark over there, because you have the big Christmas tree and the bushes, so it looks worse than it actually is. But just for public safety, we need to try
I think, so we'll look at, somehow we'll look at the lighting.
Yeah,
of
because it's
Buzzards
public
Bay.
safety, and it's also going to attract more businesses downtown. We
And
can
the
only
other
do so
thing
much.
is, that's not on the 5-year plan, is back in 2019, we have a town meeting article to purchase Christmas lights for the Belmont Circle, the West End Circle, as well as the community building, Buzzards Bay Park and Town Hall. And with the construction, when the state went in and did Belmont Circle over, those lights were repurposed. Now, driving around, post-construction, there's nothing there. And I would like to see us get some additional lights to go back into that circle, because it's just, for the holiday, it just doesn't look right. Where one rotary's lit but the other one isn't. And when people come into Buzzards Bay off of 25, that's the first thing they see is a rotary that's stuck. When
I think a lot of the lights were shifted over to the Wareham
They were
Rotary,
shifted,
because I don't
yeah.
think they used
Yeah,
to
the
like
West
it that
End.
much. It was really the Belmont Circle Rotary.
Yeah.
But I think we should look into, as
Yeah.
part of the 5-year plan,
Yeah.
see if we can buy some additional lights to
Let's
put
get
over there.
get lights back in, though. I think that would be good.
No,
Okay.
holiday lights.
So we,
Yes.
one of the things that you'll see this year is that we'll have the omnibus capital article, but we'll also have some separate articles for primarily, I think, the building projects, like the library, OPM, the ISWIM, the Southside Fire Station, and I don't know what else there is here that.
And
So those will be like separate articles that we'll be able to speak to and have people do.
And my suggestion, if possible, is if the lighting for the west end of Main Street, for Main Street sidewalks is gonna be on the 5-year capital plan, I wonder if it's not gonna be anytime soon that we can execute that. I would like to see temporary lighting next summer, over on the sidewalks down there, because, just as a temporary, as a temporary
Well,
measure to
let's see,
your.
let's see where we're going. We'll figure that out. Yeah, I don't know what that is, so.
Well, it's just
Okay. So do you need a motion, or are you just presenting to us? We're good?
Just presenting.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. Very thorough,
Yes.
addressing a lot of needs, and it was really well done with the capital outlay committee. It was
The
very
process
thorough.
Worked well,
Yeah.
Yeah, really appreciate the time.
especially
Oh,
with
yeah, there's a lot.
CPA funding and having it go through capital outlay
Yes.
Everybody put in good staff.
before it comes to us.
And
No
just,
surprises.
and just as a courtesy, I know we're doing Columbia Lady Park over. The family put a lot of work into raising money to put the
Plaque.
to put the stone, the engraved stone, and with recognition out there. When they're getting ready to do the work over there, if it's design or if it's, post construction, maybe the families should be invited out, or have some input, because, it's their son's, it's their son's name that's on there, so.
Well, maybe we'll have some sort of ribbon cutting,
Yeah.
invite them to the ribbon cutting of the new courts.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have comments about this item? Okay, next, vote to extend the maximum useful life of the newly authorized fire engine to 15 years. Can you explain this?
So, because we're borrowing for this, and our bylaw states that it has to be for 5 years, but because we're borrowing for 15 years, we want a motion from the board to say that the fire engine will serve the town for 15 years, because that's the length of the note that we're going to borrow for.
Okay.
So it's.
So it doesn't say, the maximum doesn't mean we can only use it for 15 years, but it says we're
No.
intending to use it for 15 years.
Yes.
Okay.
Erica, did I get that right?
Yes, so this is a requirement from bond council if we want to borrow beyond 5 years. So this gives us some flexibility because, as Marlene stated, we all know that we anticipate the fire engine to have a useful life greater than 5 years.
Right. So do most of our vehicles, even like the excavator, well, the excavators at ISWIM get like burned through like crazy, so they probably only last 5 years, if that. I mean, so do we use that 5-year rule of thumb even for heavy equipment that we expect is gonna last longer? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, generally for departmental equipment, it is 5 years.
Okay.
And when it comes into play and we anticipate it to be longer, we can just request it after the select board.
okay. I
Yeah,
have
we're
one
request-
typo in this.
Oh,
in that last paragraph, it says, I further certify that the vote was taken at a meeting open to the public. That the vote was taken in a meeting open to the public, and it was not taken by secret ballot. So just change word to was.
Okay, we can, it's actually, Jean will need to sign it tonight, so we can just,
We could just change that and
Yeah.
initial it. Jean can
Yeah.
initial it.
yes. Is that all right, Erica? We can just make that change.
Unless it's bond council's wording and we don't want to mess with bond council.
It is bond council's wording, so I would prefer to leave it.
Okay.
Is that-
My 8th grade grammar teacher would have a fit.
That the vote were taken,
Yeah.
the meeting open to the public. That said
We're
vote
gonna
was not
just-
taken by secret
Yeah,
ballot.
we're not going to parallel structure it. We'll go with bond council. I understand.
Thanks.
Make a
Maybe there's
motion-
supposed to be parentheses S next to vote.
Make a motion to extend the maximum useful life of the newly authorized fire engine to 15 years.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Melissa. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. We will concur with bond council. Okay, next is policy, continued discussion of goals and priorities. And we have some things laid out for the budget. One of the things that I want to mention that I talked to Marlene about today was at the January 7th meeting, we're going to start at 6 PM and have the training for 40Bs
Yep.
at 6 PM on that night. They've arranged for the trainer that's available that night. And then we'll start the CWMP discussion at 7 with the Board of Health. So I just want people to be aware of that. And then continued, one of the things that we wanted to have under this is just to discuss the Veterans Community Building HVAC, to get an update from Arlene and discussion about our future thoughts about monitoring through the M&D. Yeah.
Sure. So, as you know, we've been working over the past 18 months or so, and the town has worked diligently to ensure that our investment in the HVAC upgrades have been implemented according to our contract. We are still making some minor adjustments to optimize the system, but it is working as it is intended. The town has ensured that the contractor completed the work. It has been commissioned and delivered according to the agreed scope. The intention behind this contract was to conserve energy and reduce our utility costs. Part of it is that we have entered into a 15-year agreement with very specific operating requirements. The first year of the monitoring term will end at the end of next year, August of next year, August of 2025. At that time, we'll have a reconciliation report showing if we fell short of our commitments and if we met our targets for energy savings. At that time, after the first year of monitoring is complete, we will be able to give the board a full picture encompassing all 4 seasons of how things performed over the course of the year.
Sounds good. So we'll plan on looking at that report and evaluating that next fall. Right. Awesome. Thank you. Is there anything else to be added to the discussion of goals and priorities? This is sort of somewhat goes into the calendar, which has some of the things, but we have today received the 4 signed, completed host community agreements. So we will have an agenda item at some time in the future when there's time to complete the RFP process for the people that were not selected. And then also to have a discussion of our next phase. So I'll put those on the agenda for when I can get them. Discussion of possible standing building committee.
It's something that's, I've seen in other communities. I'm curious if it's something that we should be looking into, especially with projects we have and upcoming building projects. I wonder it's something that we should at least look and see if it would work for Bourne. And when we go to Mass Municipal next month, I'm gonna ask some of my peers from communities to have them, what they think of it, and then I'll just bring back my findings back to the.
Well, I mean, I think we can all ask. I'd also like Marlene to think about what's gonna work for her.
Yeah.
As a town administrator and with Liz, I mean, if they have multiple, I mean, we're talking police station roof, library, Southside Fire Station, ISOM Building Committee. I mean, trying to manage all of those building projects with different building committees, I think would be really difficult. So
Yeah.
I think we need to really put our thoughts together about what a standing building committee would look like, what types of people will be on it, how do we coordinate it with the interest groups? So you have your core part of the committee, and then you have with the expertise of the construction administration, legal, architect, that can kind of give a good look at the and then the library people, and the fire station people, and then the police station people, and the people that are the stakeholders for the different groups. And so I think we need to do ourselves kind of look at different things, but also have Marlene sort of really think about what she would like to, what kind of standing building committee would help her be most effective in getting these projects and coordinating all these projects.
It is something that we need to be very cognizant of. If we do move forward with a library too, we could potentially be, $70 million in projects active at one time. And this is not something it's not something we can risk. And I know nobody wants to risk it, but even accidentally or inadvertently, we have to make sure that we're not juggling so many pieces that balls are getting dropped. And we need to have a building committee that is really engaged and really paying close attention to the details of all of these projects. And I think it would be incredibly difficult for us to do a good job if we had 4 or 5 separate building committees every month to try to manage, and I just don't think it's realistic. I think we seriously have to consider all of the building projects being rolled into a building committee. They meet once a month, they review everything on the projects, and I really do think I need one group of dedicated individuals to help with the whole slate of projects. I can't have one group for this project and one group for that project and one group for that project. I'm afraid I'm gonna miss something.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. And I think, and then we can, as a select board, have that building committee come and report to us like quarterly on progress that's happening. And I think we also have to really think about what the role of the building committee is. What is their authority? What are they supposed to be doing? What are our expectations in terms of their role as members of that building committee? And I just, for myself, having been chair of a building committee, that role and responsibility was not clearly defined for my committee. We made our own definition as a committee and did what we thought we were supposed to be doing, but you can't, that's not the way it should be. It should be a role and responsibility and authority that's defined so that the committee understands exactly what they're supposed to be doing as members of the committee, so.
I guess the other thing I would say is, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if we are going to continue with separate building committees, I'm going to need funding for staff support. I just, the logistics of duplicate, 5 separate agendas, 5 separate set of minutes, 5 separate packets, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it really,
Adds up.
Yeah.
in addition to all of the other committees that we're taking care of, I can't add any additional committee load on the I'm maxed out for committee load support.
In the town administrator's office.
Yeah,
The time,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think, I think maybe the board should say to you that, you need to come back to us with a proposal? I mean, is this what you want? Do you want to try to design this? I mean, do you have something that you think you should do, or is that asking you to do something that you don't have time to do?
No, I mean,
And when do you want to start it? And when do we make a transition? That's the kind of the appropriate, that's a question that.
yeah.
So what happens to existing committees? They
Right.
get dissolved?
So I would say right now, none of the existing committees have construction money.
Correct.
So I would say yes, because none of the existing committees are actively managing a construction project. We've got feasibility, we've got design at various stages, but this warrant for May has all of the construction money on it. So I think.
So this building committee is going to manage the construction funds once, they're not gonna, I mean, they're kind of stuck with the OPMs that have been decided unless they're there when the OPM is chosen.
Yeah.
And maybe for the library, if it was a building committee, they would choose the OPM.
Yeah.
But they're gonna continue with the OPMs that have been decided for the projects that are on. For the police station roof, maybe they would do the OPM for that.
Yeah.
But, so, if there isn't already an assigned OPM and designer, then they would take on that part of it. If there is, then what's been decided before. And then people from the current committee, some people from the committee would come on as stakeholders, but, I mean, and we just have, that would just be a matter of doing it. So I think we have to think about timing. I think if we're going to town meeting, that figuring out either town meeting appoints a committee or we get it all straight and we say to town meeting that these are how these funds are gonna be managed. We have a whole plan and we say, we figure it out between now and then. So when we go to town meeting, we know what the committee's gonna look like and can appoint it from there so they can hit the ground running.
Well, here's an example of one that I'm familiar with, and it's in Mansfield. It meets once a month. The Mansfield Building Committee is composed of 5 committee members appointed by the Select Board. Each member is appointed to a 5-year term arranged in such a way that the terms of as near equal number of members as possible to expire each year. And the duties of it is construction management, development planning reports, equipping all municipal and school building projects requiring structural alteration or new building construction, and oversight of design plans and specifications. And so that's what's here on the website, but
Standard, right?
it's pretty
Yeah.
straightforward. That's an example of one. But, I mean, I just know because I know the people that created this. So, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So I think we think about it, I think Marlene thinks about it, I think we think about it, we talk to people at MMA, and then we start working on it in especially February and March, so that we're ready for town meeting to make that transition once we get construction funding. Is everyone in agreement with that? Okay. Okay, town administrators report. Giving us a lot of reports today, Marlene. This was a big meeting for you.
Yes. I can confirm that the town now has executed HCA's with both Capeway Cannabis and Chief Cannabis, as you mentioned. A number of years ago, the Select Board and a prior administrator were working on an agreement for a land lease with NextGrid for a solar array on Ernest Valeri Road. The land lease did not come to pass, and the town did not enter into the agreement. However, NextGrid is moving forward with their project independent of the town. They have formally filed a DRI application with the Cape Cod Commission, and the public hearing is scheduled for Friday, January 17th, 2025. So I just want to make you aware of that. I've received confirmation today that the town planner has been able to secure 40B training assistance for the Select Board, ZBA, Planning Board, Affordable Housing Partnership, and anyone else who is interested in joining. The training will be held on January 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. prior to the Select Board meeting with the Board of Health regarding the CWMP. MIPA has confirmed receipt of the town's CWMP submission, and it is now under administrative review. The filing is available in hard copy for inspection at Town Hall and the library. The filing is also available on the CWMP webpage as an electronic file. The Shore and Harbor Committee will be meeting in January to continue their work on the municipal harbor plan. They will be reviewing the public input received to date from the survey and workshops, and they will be revising the proposed goals and objectives for the plan. That's all I have.
Thank you. Minutes, do we have any minutes? I don't think we do.
I didn't see any.
Yep. Committee reports. Any committee reports? I actually was at the Labor and Personnel, this is not a town committee, but it's the Mass Municipal Labor and Personnel. And they reported today that some civil service reform has passed as part of the economic development bill. And it's gonna allow some hybrid and make it easier for some communities to leave. But mostly those communities that had already tried to leave and were stuck in the legislation. So, but it is kind of interesting that they've made some reforms for that. And also that I went to with Anne Marie, and I went to the Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association and heard a very informative discussion about the county cooperative extension and some of the things that they do, so.
Coastal erosion.
Yeah. Future agenda items, we've talked about some. We had in our correspondence, there was
Yeah, there's
we haven't done
corres- yeah.
correspondence, let's do correspondence.
Yeah.
I'm skipping.
Correspondence, December 17th, 2024. A, DEP letter, Bourne multi-site EST concurrence. B, 274 Williston ZBA public hearing notice. C, letter from Herring Pond Wampanoag Tribe regarding 829 Scenic Highway. And D, thank you note from Bourne PD regarding National Night Out.
So for future agenda items on the 829 Scenic Highway to the Cape Cod Commission, Marlene, can you speak to that? Just, so you're not quite sure like how we do that, or?
So I will need to do some research, but if this is something that the board would like to bring back to a future meeting, I can do that research to see how, if the select board can go about making this referral to the Cape Cod Commission as a DRI, and if so, how do you do that? I don't know the mechanism yet, but if it is something the board wants to take up, I can be prepared in
Yeah,
a
I
future
think, yeah, you
meeting.
should do the research so we know if we can do it, and then we'll talk about getting it as an agenda item. Is there anything else? Okay. We have next meeting dates listed, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Second?
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous.
See you next year.
8:49.
Yeah.